Good morning. Good morning. Convection cast. Welcome back. We are tracking a developing severe weather setup for today, which is Thursday, across parts of the central and eastern Kansas, with some additional storm potential extending into the Missouri Valley and portions of the southern high plains. Now, this is a classic plain style setup. We will be seeing a very, very classic dry line and increasing moisture return. Basically, our dry line is going to be pulling that moisture up from the Gulf, which is going to make a return. And with strengthening winds here, all ingredients can support organized severe thunderstorms. Now, here is our very, very interesting hail risk. I do want to point this out first because I'm very concerned for very big hail, which can cause a lot of damage. Um, as we can see, our 15% hatch risk pretty much smack dab in the middle of Kansas, maybe a little bit to the east. And we do have our hatch risk expanding from southeastern Nebraska to western Missouri, and pretty much all of Kansas. Now, I'm very concerned about this because very big hail can and will cause a lot of damage. So if you're anywhere in this hatched risk or this yellow, you need to be weather aware for very, very big hail. Now, we do have a conditional but real tornado risk depending on storm mode and timing. Now, we're going to be breaking down the atmosphere step by step so you know exactly what to expect and when. So let's take a deeper dive. Now, to take a look at the large scale, we do have a mid-level ridge that has been sitting over the central United States. You can see that right here on your screen. It's beginning to weaken and shift eastward. In its place, a contact upper level trough, which is right here. It's kind of hard to see, but as this moves eastward, you can see it developing right here. Um, is moving out of the Rockies into the Central Plains during the day on Thursday. As this system approaches, it promotes rising motion into the atmosphere and develops a surface low across the high Central Plains. This will be easier, it'll make it easier for storms to develop, and it'll give it like more wind shear in short terms. This is important because that surface will help tighten the pressure gradient, which increases wind speeds and sharpens the dry line. And our dry line is what we're mostly concerned about to help storms form tomorrow. And if it sharpens and strengthens dry line, we do have a higher tornado potential and more chance for larger hail, which, as I said earlier, is bad. One of the key limiting factors early in the day will be how quickly moisture can return northward from the Gulf of Mexico. Current guidance suggests dew points will climb into the lower to upper 50s and possibly to the low 60s across the central Kansas by late afternoon. Now, that might not sound extreme or alarming, but combined with the steep mid-level lapse rates that we will have in place and the strong daytime heating, it will support moderate instability. Basically, if the sun can reach the ground, it'll heat up the surface, which will cause instability. And instability is pretty much gasoline. Like, just think of gasoline for cars. That's how it is for thunderstorms. It's just the thunderstorm's fuel. So the more daytime heating we have, the more fuel that the storms will have to develop. We're looking at roughly 1,500 to 2,500 joules per kilogram of LCAPE in the most favorable corridor. That amount of instability is more than enough for strong updrafts, capable of producing severe hail and potentially intense thunderstorms. Now, as we talked about, we are on the lookout for very large hail. However, there is still some uncertainty in how widespread that moisture return will be, and that will directly impact the storm coverage. Now, instability alone doesn't tell the full story. We also need to look at our wind shear. Thursday features a strengthening low-level jet developing during the early evening hours, increasing wind speeds and turning with height. This creates a strongly sheared environment. Now, strongly sheared environments are more favorable for thunderstorms, with mid-level winds reaching 40 to 50 knots, oriented nearly perpendicular to the dry line. That kind of wind profile is very, 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 very favorable for rotating thunderstorms, specifically supercells.
If storms can remain isolated during initiation, they will have the ability to organize quickly. Pretty much, they will be able to take more of the fuel and fuel from the atmosphere to organize. Now, if they were in a large cluster, every single storm would be trying to fight each other to get fuel. But if they're by themselves, which is what I mean by isolated, they will be able to get all the fuel they want for themselves, and that'll help them organize very, very quickly and help them develop strong mesocyclones and produce large hail, as we were talking about early in their life cycle. As storms interact with the richer moisture later that evening, their intensity, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that word, could increase further. And the tornado threat becomes more conditional, but not negligible. Basically, our tornado threat is more expected to be when these storms are first initiating and when they're isolated. But once we get more clusters of storms, it's going to start to lower a lot. Our 0 to 1 kilometer storm relativisticity, as we're looking at right now on the screen, are up to 200 to 400, which is supported for low-level rotation if storms are able to stay discrete. Basically, if the storms are by themselves, they will just be able to get all the wind shear they want, which will help them rotate, which increases our tornado potential by a lot. The highest severe weather risk is focused across central and eastern Kansas. This is where the overlap of instability shear and forcing is most favorable for organized storms. Initial storms that can develop in this recent region will likely pose a significant hail threat. We do see these little storms trying to pop up right here, as you can see on this screen. Now this is where we will see our possible tornado producers and our large hail producers. If these storms can stay discrete, oh my gosh. If these storms can stay discrete, we will see potentially very large hail and a chance of some discrete tornadoes. Now, we don't know that for sure, but that's just what we are looking out for. We could see hail potentially exceeding 2 to 3 inches. To summarize this setup, we are looking at a classic plain severe weather environment driven by a dry line, increasing moisture return, and strengthening wind shear. The main focus remains across central and eastern Kansas, where large hail damaging wind and a conditional tornado threat will be possible. This all depends on the storm development and storm mode. Also the storm timing. If storms form too early, they might not get the instability from that daytime heating that they need to form and materialize. And if they form too late, they may miss that region where it has the highest instability. This is a highly conditional setup, meaning small changes in the atmosphere could significantly impact outcomes. We will be monitoring this closely as we get closer to initiation today. This is Convection Cast. Thank you for watching and stay weather aware.